Hello, Dane. How are you? Hey, Denise. How are you, pal? Hope you're doing okay. You guys hear me okay? Just let me know if the sound is all right. Hey, Adam. Happy Tuesday. Hello, Will. Good evening, my friend. Hello, Ellis. We'll let people fill up here. It's right at 7 o'clock, and then we will jump right into it. Hello, Doug. Rich, how are you, buddy? Thanks, buddy. Hope you're doing well up there. Back in our old stopping grounds. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Denise. Hello, Daniel. I hope this is a very. I'm really going to try to truly put out as much clear information as possible. I got a lot of great questions. Chrissy, cheers. I am prepared. I wasn't going to have a drink because I wanted to stay real clear-headed, but then I just enjoy having a bourbon or a scotch too much during these lives. So why give it up? Life is short. Tonight, Mike, we got a couple. We got my Old Forester 1920 Prohibition blend, which is one of my favorites. I didn't have much of that left, and then I have my Wild Turkey Rare Breed Barrel Proof. I think this is a 116 proof. The Old Forester's 115 proof. Geez, I almost broke the bottle on the counter. Both are very good. I like them. It's delicious when it hits my lips, you know. Eduardo is at Costco's. Hey, Misty. Hello, Melissa. We'll get started here in a minute. We'll let it fill up a little more. I really hope, I never care if people jump on these things or not. I'll talk to one person. I hope some people really take this in tonight, because it's just absolutely insane, the stuff I'm still seeing on a daily basis out there, You know what I mean? It's very doable, Rich. I work with dogs all the time that have electric fence. It's very rarely an issue if it's done properly. Unfortunately, most people don't do it properly, and that's how I end up with the dogs. Holly's in Alaska. Alaska's on my bucket list, Holly. I have to get there. Hello, MF. You're very welcome, Travis. Thank you. Hello, Jennifer, Mark, Tina. All right, we'll give it here 30 seconds and we shall get started. Grab a drink, sit down, grab some mashed potatoes, a bowl of cereal, something. Good mashed potatoes, the way I make them, with chicken gravy, is one of my favorite foods on the planet. I love mashed potatoes so much. Love them. I haven't tried the Jack Daniel's single barrel. I don't well, it's been a while, Chrissy, actually. I actually have, but it's been a very long time. So I couldn't comment on that too much. All right, folks. Check it out. Let's get started. Okay? Let's get started on this. This is a really important topic for me. Like crazy important. Hello, Graham. How are you, my friend? I got one here. I like my whiskey too, Graham, big time. I like my scotch very much. Here's the thing, guys. I'll do my best not to bore you here. I really will. But this subject is unbelievably important to me because it's such a hot topic in the industry always, and it affects everybody, not just dog trainers, dog owners. It affects millions of dogs and millions of dog owners. And I don't understand to this day why we're still dealing with so many myths and confusion and misinformation out there on the subject. I just don't understand it, Hey, Shannon, how are you, pal? George, I don't understand it. There's no reason for it. So I made the first e-collar video trying to explain really simple usage and proper usage for the welfare of the animal. Probably, I don't know, 2008, 2009. It's been a while. And since then, I've done it over and over and over again. But then if anyone saw the post on the Balance Trainers website this morning, a lady asked a question, can't find the level. She sees the muscle contracting, and a lot of people jumped in. Some people are rude and nasty, and I started my statement. And I was serious when I said, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I really wasn't. I wasn't trying to be a jerk to this woman because she actually went and asked for help. Thank God. But I said, if you're asking that question, you're not ready to use the tool, And most people understand that. Most people agree. One lady got nasty and said, why did I have to be rude? Why can't I just help her? And here's why. First of all, I wasn't being rude. I was being honest. The welfare of the animal comes first to me, always, always. And unless you're dealing with dogs day after day, year after year after year that have been crucified with this tool, destroyed with this tool, where they've crapped all over themselves and peed all over themselves, and they're just turned in to flattened mashed potatoes because of improper use of this tool, then you should shut your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. I don't give a flying fuck about someone's feelings when it comes to harming the animal. That's as honest and open as I could possibly be. I have no tolerance for it. Okay? With that being said, I do my best to educate as many people as possible. I'm not God's gift to dog training. My way is not the only way. Many may even think it's not the best way. That's totally okay. There's a lot of great people out there, a lot of great books and videos, and I'll name some of them off later in this, okay? But the welfare, hey, Ivana, the welfare of the animal comes first for me, guys. The e-collar is an incredible tool, wonderful tool when used properly, but it's only a tool. It's not a magic wand. It will never bring out the best in the animal. It can bring out the best in the training, but it can also bring out the worst. And if you're not at least a halfway decent trainer, you have no business operating this tool because it can destroy you. It can destroy the dogs. With that being said, I've worked with thousands of people in person and across the world, online, through phone calls, through seminars, average everyday dog owners that have changed their lives around completely, changed their lives around for the better. Okay? And I've shown that over and over. I just want everyone to reap the benefits without harming the animal. It's really, really important to me, guys, okay? I'll get to the questions here in a second. I want to make one thing very clear for all the purely positive people. I'm not a purely positive trainer hater by no means. But for the people that are against the tool, against punishment, and for the balance trainers that are against the tool and don't understand it, think that you're lazy if you use it and it shouldn't be part of training, I just want to make one thing very clear. I do pretty well with the animals, especially my own. I've said this a bazillion times. Let me say it again. I teach nothing with the e-collar. I teach nothing. So for the people out there and for the people that contact me and say, you're a talented trainer, why do you need an e-collar to teach the things you're teaching? You could teach that with food. You could teach that with toys and praise. Guess what? I teach nothing with the e-collar. I am very, very pro positive reinforcement. I teach everything with food. Everything. A leash, a flat collar, and food. Motivation is very important to me. Very important to me. The relationship of the animal comes first, always. You have to have that relationship there, that trust, that understanding, that respect, and that respect has to go both ways. Okay? Very simple. So I'm going to say it one more time. I teach everything with food, and I do a pretty damn good job doing so. Now, people say, well, then why do you need e-collars? For me, and I'm just speaking for myself, guys, and for the hundreds of thousands of people out there that contact me every year. I use e-collars to provide off-leash freedom for my dogs and my clients' dogs. That's the big reason. With that being said, the way I utilize the e-collar in teaching is not in a punitive manner. It's not taught that way. I'm not using the e-collar to teach the obedience. I'm doing the opposite. I'm using the obedience to teach what this strange foreign sensation at the lowest level perceived means. Dog doesn't know what it means. But when the dog knows the obedience very well, come to me, go away to me and place on something, sit down, whatever it is, all the basics, right? Any dog I work with is going to know the basics very well. It's going to learn through motivation. It's going to learn with food and toys and praise and affection and a strong relationship. Okay? When the dog knows that, now I could utilize the tool. How do I utilize the tool? The dog has no idea what this very foreign sensation is. Even at the lowest level perceived, that's where we start, right? Lowest level perceived. Barely can feel it. Not sure if it feels something. It doesn't know what it is. It's foreign to the animal. And so many of you Mama Lukes out there are throwing the damn collar on the dog and pressing buttons and wondering why the dog isn't doing what you want it to do. Pull your head out of your ass and think about what you're saying. It's not a remote control toy car. It's a living, breathing, emotional creature. You have to take the time to teach it. But before you can teach it using the e-collar, you have to teach what the e-collar means. What do I mean by that? Okay. It's foreign. The dog doesn't get it. The way we introduce it and teach it so the dog knows what you're talking about. Purely positive people that are watching this, please understand this. Okay? Let's say most dogs, we start with the recall. On leash, on a flat collar. We're looking for the dog's lowest level perceived. Dog gives us some kind of signal. It could be incredibly subtle. It could just be the dog is breathing and then the mouth closes. It could be a twitch of the eye. It could be a little ear twitch. It could be one eye blinks. It could be it looks behind it. It's very subtle because there's not much sensation there. That's where we start the training. That's why we start it with no distractions when possible. That's why we start it on concrete or blacktop, not grass, because that's loaded with distractions. And in order to start it with the lowest level possible, we want isolation as much as possible. Okay? So now the dog has the sensation, feels something, doesn't know what it is. How do we teach the dog what that means? We teach the dog what that means by combining that new foreign stimulation with the verbal command that the dog already knows, hopefully, and the leash pressure, if needed, that the dog should already know. Let me say that again. The dog should know leash pressure. So many people that I work with and see, whether it be clients or seminars, some are dog trainers. Their dog can't stay in one place with them without being anxious and moving around. Dogs all over the place. If you have a dog that can't remain still with you, that's a problem. You have to start at the lowest denominator, and that's it. At the basics, the dog needs to yield to you when unleashed and just be still. A lot of people don't have that, believe it or not. We have to teach that to many people and many dogs. Now the dog understands it. We use food. You could use the dog's food. You can use something higher of value, but I like to use the dog's food. That's how the dog eats, right? So how does the dog learn what the stimulation means? The stimulation comes on first. Usually in the form of a continuous stimulation, followed by the command the dog knows. Luca, come, right? Now, because the dog knows the obedience command, As soon as the dog turns to come to me, that's what we're marking. That's why your dog must know a reward marker and must have a release command. The second that dog turns to me, we're marking with a yes. Now, because the dog knows the reward marker, it should bring speed to come to you and get rewarded. So now, instead of like years ago where there's a lot of pressure on the dog, and for 3 or 4 days, sometimes the dog would be down in the dumps because it was just pressure with the e-collar. Same time as the command, come, down, sit, tons of pressure. Dog never learns anything. And there's confusion in a bad way. And the dog's down in the dumps. We don't get that anymore. From day one, the dogs are upbeat and loving life because they're getting rewarded. They're getting fed. They're getting good things from learning how to better their own situation by removing this weird sensation. And very quickly, the dog learns what it means. That leash stays on the dog for a long time. We don't get rid of the leash until the dog is truly trained, because we're not going to give the dog a command off leash that we can't reinforce. Through the whole process of training, purely positive people, listen to me. Anti-e-collar people on the balance side, listen to me. Through the whole process of training, I am very rarely ever correcting the dog with the e-collar. Almost never. Almost never. There's always exceptions. And punishment has to be part of a real dog training program. There's no such thing as a valuable, worthwhile dog training program where a dog is never corrected. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Anyone who tells you it is, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. Okay? You guys see how I train. I'm a light-handed trainer. I don't use a lot of corrections in dog training because I don't have to. But I most certainly will when it's beneficial and needed to have a dog that thrives in our life. Okay? We do that. We take our time, and for a few weeks, we're educating the dog. I'm not going to go through the whole process because I've done that a bazillion times, right? I have a bazillion videos on how to do this. I wrote a book that has sold all over the world. Mark Goldberg and the Monks have a great book out. Pat Nolan has a great book out. Okay? These are great books and information pieces that you guys should know and understand. All right? You understand what I'm saying? I teach nothing with it. In order to get my dog to be safe off leash, I have to be prepared for what if. Can I make all the obedience the dog knows better, faster, sharper? Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I've done it a bazillion times for people on all levels of dog training. Can I use it to stop unwanted behaviors? You bet your ass I can. In a very effective way and a very fair way without ever destroying the dog physically or mentally. So when you guys watch some of these douchebags that are popular on social media and you see these dogs just plastered and looking like it's the end of the road for them, hey, Bill, you know what it is? They don't have no dog training skills. They don't give a shit about the animal. They care about making a fortune and getting in and out as many dogs as possible. And it's pressure, pressure, pressure. The dog doesn't do what they say, they light it up. The dog does something they don't want, they light it up. Does that exist? Absolutely. That's why I'm doing these obnoxious friggin' lives, to try to get these douchebags to stop doing this. It's important, guys. We're going to lose the tool because of these people. And some of you support them. You think they're doing good work because you don't know what you're looking at. Come on. Enough is enough. I can't believe we're still even talking about this, to be honest with you. But if you see some of the stuff that comes across, I can't believe it. This stuff is easy, guys. It's easy. And we're making it more complicated because we're trying to market all this crazy complicated shit or do this and this will work best. This stuff is easy. Focus on the basics. No matter how much obedience you do, no matter what kind of tools you're using at the highest level, if you don't understand how to live with your animal properly and address the little things in life, you're always going to have issues with your dog. Okay? The dog is fixed inside the home where you live with it, with all the little things that the dog gets away with or doesn't get away with. That's what creates the animal you have, not come sitting down in prong collars and e-collars. That doesn't create the dog. 80% of having success with the animal is the behavior, the way you're living with the animal. I've said it from day one, from years. A lot of people didn't believe me back then. More people believe that now. The obedience is easy. The tools are easy. A monkey could do it, okay? Or a hairy gorilla like myself. Believe me when I tell you, I want people to succeed. I get no financial gain out of doing this. I'm in a really good place in my life, in my career. I'm truly happy. I have everything a guy could ever want. I have everything a dog trainer could ever want. I want everyone not to have to make the mistakes that I had to do and go through, or like a lot of other people had to go through. All you young people, you have an opportunity to learn so much more right from the start. Don't fuck it up. Take advantage of it. Stop following these friggin' idiots that are destroying dogs. Let's get to the questions. I'm sorry, I know that's a rant, but it's got to be said, people. Enough of this bullshit, man. 80% of the people using this tool shouldn't even be using a leash. If you can train a dog with all the basics at a high level in all circumstances with just a leash and a flat collar, guys, you got to do better, okay? All right, let's get to the questions. Ali Simadori, what would be an appropriate situation to use the vibration mode on a collar versus a stim? Is there one? No. Let me explain why. I hate the vibration button. I wish they'd take it off all friggin' e-collars. To me, it's useless. Here's why. So many people are hell-bent on using the vibration button. I've had people for years, and I've gotten all kinds of shit because I've made videos about it. I've had trainers, good people, respectable people, people I respect. Hey, I've taught my dog 100% recall with the vibration button. That's it. No stimulation. Okay, great. I believe you. I don't think they're lying. But no one can answer the question, what happens the first time your dog doesn't respond? Simple question. What happens? There is no consequence with a vibration button. It's useless. It has no value. There is no consequence. You can't turn to the e-collar stimulation because it hasn't been taught. It hasn't been trained. You could make things a lot worse. Let me go back. I'm a little easier on the vibe. There are circumstances, okay? If you want to use it just to interrupt something, your dog sniffing, you can. But let me tell you something. It's not always so clear to the dog, and it could create some issues. Let me tell you how I use a vibration-only collar. Okay? Backtrack. I apologize for steering you wrong. When I get a board and train in, every now and then you get a dog that likes to bark in the middle of the night, bark all night long. If that's the case, hey, David and Kay, if that's the case, I will jump right into the e-collar conditioning very fast, day one, because I'm not going to have a dog barking all night, right? I'll jump into the conditioning phase day one. I'll teach it throughout the day, just like I do all dogs, just so there is kind of an idea of understanding there. So the dog kind of has some kind of reference, and it's paired in a positive way, just like we do. When I go to sleep at night, I won't leave an e-collar on a dog all night long, and I'm not going to punish a dog with an e-collar right from the start. But what I do is I have purchased a vibration-only collar from E-Collar Technologies. There's no contact points, just vibrates. I put that on the dog when I go to sleep. I take the remote with me. If the dog starts to bark, I tap that from my bedroom, sleeping next to my lovely wife. Hopefully it was a good night, and I'm really tired. And I will say, 100% of the times, I've never had a dog not stop barking. I'll put it on at night for a few nights when I go to bed, but rarely will I ever have to use it at once. So I'm sorry, Allie, that is a good reason to use it. But as far as trusting my dog off leash with a vibration, oh, hell no. Ain't going to happen. Okay. Lauren Keenan, tips for using an e-collar on a somewhat fearful dog. Dog is fearful of certain people and dogs. That's really vague, Lauren. And here's the thing. I use e-collars on fearful dogs all the time. I've been screaming it from the mountaintops for 150 years. Does wonderful things. But there is no mindset issue or behavior issue where you're going to put an e-collar on a dog and try to address it. It's not what I do, at least. Doesn't happen. Will a proper e-collar usage help fearful dogs? I have a 50,000 videos explaining why and how. Yes, absolutely. But the training's no different. You have to build the trust in the animal and the relationship. The dog has to look at you like, hey, I don't have to worry about nothing. You know, you have to build the foundation of the basics. Then when you add the e-collar and teach it properly, it's going to boost the dog's confidence. 100%, I can guarantee that, because it's never not. All these years that I'm doing this, it's never not helped a fearful dog. It does wonders. As a matter of fact, it does more for fearful, insecure dogs than any other type of dog. Okay. And I won't go into too much detail because I have so many questions here, but that's the case. But Lauren, there is no issue that you put an e-collar on a dog and try to address it. That's what the douchebags do. And we're not douchebags here. We're fine citizens that care about the animal. Kelly Cochran, best way to correct for whining while holding a command. I'm assuming you have a German Shepherd, Kelly. Is that accurate? I don't know. That's hard to say without knowing more of the situation, Kelly. If your dog is properly trained and well into training, can you correct it with an e-collar correction? Yeah, you can. And quite often that will settle the dog down. But all dogs are different, and I'd have to need to know a lot more there. But yes, that can be useful in that situation, 100%. But there's a proper way of doing it also, okay? Again, don't ever throw it on and just try to correct the whining. You know, you're going to basically correct the dog for being in the command that you asked. You know, he's not going to be able to understand that you correct the whining. So that takes it takes an experienced hand for the most part. Matthew McCabe. Do dogs trained with e-collar end up with a nervous twitch in their neck, head shake? Yes, quite often. Quite often, Matthew, and here's why. One of the reasons is for trainers that use the e-collar stimulation at the same time as the command. Come, sit, down, okay? Very often that will develop a twitchy dog. That can develop a twitchy dog even when the e-collar is not on. The dog anticipates the stimulation coming with the command. That's why using the e-collar with one of the reasons why it's so unbeneficial and doesn't make sense to the dog. It's not clear to the dog. The dog never wins. It's just not a good thing to do. The other thing is, often depending on the placement on the neck, that can create twitchiness if it's hitting the muscle the wrong way. If it's not making proper contact, it could be kind of like a tickling thing, or the levels can be too high also. And if there's a little confusion there, that will create twitchiness. So all of the above, but the biggest culprit is people that are utilizing the e-collar at the same time as the command. Pressure, pressure, pressure. The dog's always anticipating it, and that creates that. And it'll happen even when we take the e-collars off. I work with a lot of these dogs, and I'll just give them commands, and they're twitching, no e-collar on. Okay, let me tell you guys a quick little story. This blew my mind this week. Make it very fast. At the seminar in Tucson, blew me away. People came with this beautiful little Westie. They've already been doing e-collar work with the dog, and they wanted to just see if they can make it better or do anything different. So they had the dog's e-collar. It was a mini educator, but I had mine already paired to the sound box, and I had the comfort pads and the wing. Okay, one of the e-collars that I use, the wing contact points, which you must use if you have a dog with long hair. We come out with this dog, we start working it, and on a number one, the dog looks awful. It's twitching, it's scared, it's acting like a lot of people train with the e-collars. I was so confused because I'm like, there's no way that this dog is being physically harmed on a number one. I said, let me turn the sound box off and see it has to do with the sound box. And maybe changed a little bit, but not much. So we're really pondering here, going crazy. At home, they said the dog looks great with the e-collar on with the regular contact points, and it works on like a number 12. We had it on a 1. So I got done with the dog. I said, we're not going to do this, you know, because listen, if anyone was watching that and didn't know, they'd say you're hurting this dog. I said, this doesn't make sense. We put the dog's regular e-collar on, and it was a little firecracker. For some reason, the different feel of the comfort pads, the softer touch with the different wing contact made that dog feel uncomfortable. Some of these dogs are that sensitive. It had nothing to do with the stimulation. It was just the feel of the collar on the dog's neck with the long, wide contact points. Didn't like it. Didn't like it. It made it insecure. So you get all kinds of crazy stuff that comes up, and you have to know how to address that. So that was pretty interesting. Hold on. Sip. Everyone take a sip. Cool little dog, and they've done a great job with them too. Okay. Wayne Straughter. I've been following your book methods. I've spent a good amount of time in the intermittent phase. Good for you. I'm hesitant on using the e-collar for corrections, but my dog has somewhat recently started eating his poop. I'm fairly confident it isn't a diet deficiency, but a behavioral issue. We manage by keeping the yard clean, but I'd love to break this behavior. Thoughts? Thanks. Yeah, Wayne, that could be a real pain in the ass. I've dealt with it. I'd like to know how long you've been using it. If you're in the intermittent phase, then I have confidence in you. And the fact that you're worried about messing your dog up, I'm definitely okay. I think you'll be fine. I'm not concerned. I would definitely correct that behavior. Okay? Absolutely. Don't associate yourself with it. Don't say no. Don't say nothing. Hide in a place where the dog can't see you and correct it firmly. Here's the thing, guys. People don't like to talk about corrections. A lot of people don't even like to admit they use corrections. This is a perfect scenario to implement a very strung. A few months, oh, you're definitely ready, Wayne, okay? This is a perfect opportunity to actually implement a firm correction. Let me explain to you why. One of the biggest mistakes people make, they allow these unwanted behaviors to go on and they use little light corrections, little nag. They just become a naggy little son of a bitch, you know? And they have to keep going up higher in intensity, no matter what kind of correction you're using or what kind of tool, right? They keep going high, higher, 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 because they start low. And what happens, guys, is the behavior doesn't stop. Often it can get worse, and your dog learns how to adapt to the higher corrections. Then you find yourself getting up into higher level corrections, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, Samson, that has to be punished and stopped, okay? So the thing is, something like that, counter surfing, poop eating, digging, you start high. One firm, well-timed correction. If you have to do it again, you won't have to go so high. But it has to send a statement and a very clear message to the dog that's unacceptable. You can't do that, okay? Yeah, I've dealt with that, Wayne. It's absolutely awful. The one thing that stopped my one dog, when we got my dad's German Shepherd, he was a poop eater. No one knew it. I caught him by accident. He used to hide and do it. He wouldn't do it if anyone was around. Unbelievably smart, you know? And I'll never forget, I was watching out my bathroom window, and I watched that dog walk up to his poop and look around to make sure no one was watching. And when I banged on the window, he jumped and ran away from. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, it's disgusting, you know? Mary, what you are looking for is the same kind of focus training. I don't know what that means. Sophie, thanks, Larry. You've mentioned in your videos that e-collars could do wonders for fearful dogs, and you never use it to teach, but is a communication tool. Could the same concept apply to a dog that gets overexcited and easily distracted outdoors? It doesn't happen every single time, but during our structured walks, occasionally my dog will lunge and pull to go check out a squirrel or a dog. My dog is not fearful or aggressive, no barking, but once we're outside, clearly outside distractions, squirrels and other dogs are more interesting to her than we are. Here's the thing, Sophie. The e-collar training there is going to be part of the process, okay? Just part of it. That's just obedience training. And so you're putting your dog in situations right now that the dog's just not ready for. You have to build the foundation a little stronger. That foundation will get stronger a lot faster and give you more ability physically with the proper e-collar training, okay? But like I tell everyone, and I have clients where we go through this stuff all the time, exactly, I mean, to a T, what you're saying. I don't take the dog out and go find those situations and then use an e-collar to correct the dog. We don't do that. We put a good foundation on the dog, right? Several lessons before we start adding distractions. And when we start adding distractions, we're not going to put the dog in the middle of a pool filled with squirrels, okay? We might start 50 yards away from squirrels and we work on the obedience. That's where we train in that intermittent phase over and over and over. So when we do finally put the dog into the fire, into where the real world issues are, it's never an issue. It's easy to address if you have to address it, but it will be a lot easier to control your dog. Okay. River Henry, talk about how an e-collar can actually help a high-strung dog relax. My colleague thought she needed to bark at everything. With e-collar training, she learned how to chill instead of getting into cyclical barking. River, that's a great point. I'm so glad you brought that up. Excellent, excellent point. How an e-collar can help a high-strung dog relax. I know what you're talking about well. 100% it makes people's lives with a dog like that much better. Let me explain. I'll use Luca, for example. Luca can be really high strung, right? In the house, he's fine. He's a great dog. Not worried about anything. If I put Luca in the car to go somewhere, he gets absolutely insane. He knows we're going to do something and he can't contain himself. All I have to do is put the e-collar on him and it totally relaxes, settles him down, and he chills out. Now, a lot of people watching this, anti-e-collar people, purely positive people, balanced trainers that don't like e-collars, will say, of course, he's scared of getting his ass lit up. Guess what? I've never had to correct that dog on any kind of a high level with the e-collar. Never in my life. And if you don't believe me, go back from day one when we made our first video together at 9 weeks old. And I made videos with him from 9 weeks all the way until he got sick recently. And only time you've ever seen an e-collar on that dog is when I was doing a demonstration for you folks. Any place we go, he's with nothing. He's an amazing animal, but he's a psychopath when it's time to work. I've driven from here to New York with him in the car. We almost forgot he was with us because it allows him just to settle and think about something different. Okay, it's like time to work when the e-collar goes on and he settles down. River, that's a great statement, buddy. I wish more people would understand that. But I'm telling you, they're all going to assume it's because the dog's been nailed for getting excited, and he never has. So many benefits that people don't understand or talk about. Thank you, River. That was a great statement. I love stuff about positive confusion. Such a great way to explain it. Hopefully hear more about it tonight. How do you start? Is there a schedule on how to progress? Lisa, I have so much stuff out how to start. My e-collar book is $10 on Amazon, and I kept it short and sweet for a reason, because it makes sense to people and has benefited many, many people. It's $10 on Amazon. I have 1,000, not 1,000, but a lot of free videos on YouTube on how to start, what to do, everything step by step. Okay. Mary sent me some working dogs, some hunting dogs with e-collars around the hips. Not a big fan. I have never seen it. My experience is with birdie dogs. Mary, I have never seen it. My experiences with birdie dogs, most all have been conditioned and used for singing to dogs who have moved off too far to call. Some even use it around the belly. The transmitter is on the flank, not the outside. Training collars are used for steadying a point, so it would not be useful if caused any kind of tics or jerking motion. I've seen it all, Mary. I've seen e-collars under the tail, around the hips, 3 e-collars, 4 3 e-collars around the neck, 1 under the tail, 1 around. I've seen it all. It's not necessary. It's just not necessary. It's just not. It is when you have a high drive dog and it's just been taught through compulsion. That's why it's done. Jared, can you talk about when to use positive punishment, stim to stop a behavior versus negative Okay. Jordan Levitt, can you talk about when to use positive punishment, stim to stop a behavior, versus negative reinforcement, stim on until desired behavior is presented and stim release? What are examples for each one? Thanks. All right, great question, Jordan. So let's keep it simple. We are starting the teaching process with negative reinforcement, okay? Right from the start. The dog's on a long line. The e-collar comes on. The pressure comes on. The stimulation comes on. We may even apply a little bit of leash pressure, right? We ask for the recall, the come command. The second the dog turns to come our way, that stimulation goes away. That's the negative reinforcement, and the dog is rewarded, positive reinforcement. Okay. Now, let's say we're in the intermittent phase. We're practicing the 4 combinations. We're out in a park. The dog is off leash, and we call the dog, Luca, come. If the dog doesn't respond immediately, we follow up with a tap on the e-collar to remind the dog you have to do it. That's punishment. People think punishment has to be some kind of painful, awful thing. It doesn't. It can be, but that's just correcting the dog. The second the dog does not respond and we add that stimulation to make the dog realize you have to do it, that's adding punishment. Okay. And that doesn't constitute what level it is. That's punishment. You're correcting the non-compliance for the dog. Great question. Hope that helps, Jordan. Or listen, another one to stop a behavior, just like we talked about earlier. The dog's in your backyard digging. You see the dog through the fence. You implement a higher level correction to stop the digging once and for all. That's adding punishment. Okay. If we were going to use negative reinforcement while the dog was digging, we want the dog to know we're there. The e-collar comes on first. We give the recall command or the down command or the stop command. And when the dog removes itself from digging, the e-collar goes away. Again, negative reinforcement. Okay, great question. Derek Kraus, motivation versus aversive philosophies. I guess that's what we just touched on, Derek. But let's talk about it more in a motivation way. That's a great question. Now, I said earlier we can definitely use it to make obedience better, faster, sharper. So let's take what Derek said, motivation versus aversive. Okay. So again, let's use a competition style heel. Okay. Let's say we're calling our dog into a competition style heel. And the dog does well. He knows the command. He knows the position. He comes into a heel very nicely, but he's a little bit lazy. Let's say we want to make things a little faster, a little sharper. Okay. Now, because the dog's been trained properly with the e-collar, the dog understands what it means. This is where we can add that motivation, adding the stimulation before the command, even at a little bit of a higher level to make the dog move its ass to do something it knows, but it's just being lazy. E-collar comes on high, a little higher level. The dog knows it well. He's well trained. We're already doing competition style heel. The second he flies into that heel, now instead of, okay, heel, he's doing this. Now the e-collar comes on. He gets it. Little bit higher bump on the level. Mango, heel, boom, she's flying into it. The second she hits perfect position, the e-collar goes away. We're marking and rewarding. Okay. Now, same thing, aversive. Let's say we give the heel and the dog is slacking off a little bit, just like in the beginning. Now, instead of using it as motivation, implementing the e-collar before the command, now we ask the dog to heel and it's being lazy. Now it's tap, tap, tap at a higher level, forcing the dog. We are correcting the dog for being lazy and not living up to what it knows how to do. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Derek, to everyone out there. Malcolm Starks, why don't people use the vibrate feature more as well as the stim, not instead of? We talked about that earlier, Malcolm, because it's pretty much useless. A lot of people like to use the stim because whether they like to admit it or not, they're the vibrate because they're uncomfortable with e-collars. They won't admit it, a lot of people. Why use the stim if you understand e-collar training? If you're not uncomfortable with it, if you're not against it, the vibration just isn't beneficial when a consequence is needed. And it does more damage. Listen, this seminar worked with a beautiful little pitty, white pit bull named Goober, right? I didn't feel like we spent enough time with each individual during that first Saturday. So I made sure I met anyone who wanted to come Saturday night at my hotel parking lot, and we trained dogs. Okay. And so we were introducing Goober, hi Renzo, to the e-collar. I didn't like his reaction. I didn't like it. And I said, an e-collar was used on this dog, something to that effect. And she said, I think she said no, maybe, or something. I don't know. But anyway, he was introduced to it on the vibration button. And it completely freaked him out. I said, okay, that makes sense. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know, I wish they'd take them off, because a lot of times people use them because they think they're being nicer to the dog, and it's not. Tyler, uh, let me see. How would you maximize your training sessions if you have a dog that's not food motivated, but you don't want to tire them out too quickly? I have a 1-year-old German Shepherd that is very play toy motivated, but if I use a ball or a tug, I'll spend more time trying to get him to out than the e-collar work. He doesn't really respond well with kibble, and I don't want to use high value turkey, making it not high value anymore. I hope this. Yeah, absolutely, Tyler. Every now and then I'm working with one right now. Okay. Hi, Chris, if you're out there. I'm working with a nice little female shepherd right now that has crazy toy drive, amazing toy drive. She will chase a Frisbee all day long, has no food drive, nothing. I'm not one of these guys that will not feed a dog for a few days just to get the drive there. Because to me, if the food is not rewarding from the start, then it's just not rewarding to the dog at all. Okay. And so I just go about the training. I'm not going to use the high drive reward there, Tyler. I'm not going to use the toy. I'm just going to use praise. That's it. Okay. Listen, for many years, I trained with no food. I was against food. I was one of those guys. I trained with no food and did just fine. If you can get a dog to take food and it's motivating and the dog loves it, it's definitely better. There's no doubt about it. But we don't stay training with food for so long anyway. So in that case, Tyler, I'm not using a physical reward like food or a toy or a ball or a tug or anything like that. Do the training without it. Just use praise. That's it. And eventually they may take food. Oh yeah, there's Chris. He asked a question. It's Chris's dog. Great little dog. Tons of drive, but no food drive. None. No interest. All right. I want to try this. Let me see. Kathy Edinson. I want to try this so badly, but more worried about screwing it up and negatively affecting my dog. Quick question. Pitfalls and how to avoid. Yeah. Here's the thing, Kathy. I've never met a person that was scared of messing their dog up that actually messed their dog up because you care. You are concerned. It's the people that don't give a shit that mess their dog up. Take your time. There's plenty of information out there. I'm not the only one. Okay. There's other people. Like I said, I have my book. It's helped tens of thousands of people all over the world. Mark Goldberg and the monks have a great book out. Pat Nolan has a great book out, and he's had it out for a long time. Guy's a legend in the industry. Ted Ethemedius. Ted, I'm sorry if I mentioned him. He's got a book out. I don't promote it because I haven't read it, but I'm sure it's great. There's tons of good stuff online, paid information and free information. Take your time, go slow. I wrote my book the way I did so the average dog owner would not mess their dog up and get benefits from it. And it's been unbelievably successful. Unbelievably successful. And I don't promote that book much. You don't hear me even talk about it much. But enough is enough, People are going to the wrong people. Webb Ranch started conditioning my 2-year-old female German Shepherd to the e-collar again, second time around, as I didn't complete the training the first time around. I'm using the recommended leash on a concrete. She is very aware on a 1. When on leash, she is glued to my leg. Her demeanor changes the minute the collar goes on. Would like to hear some tips in order to be successful with conditioning her to the collar, please. I need to know the full story there, Webb. How it went the first time, if there are any mishaps, if you use it to correct the dog, how you're teaching it, all that stuff, okay? If she's glued to your leg, I break down very often in videos on YouTube you can watch what to do, how to create space. Several different things you could do. Those turnabouts where we're walking straight and then we turn 180 degrees with just a tap without a command, without a reward, that's one thing. Another thing that's very beneficial in that situation is if the dog's at your hip, then we're walking at a good pace in a straight line. The e-collar comes on and we back up at the same time calling the dog. That forward momentum creates a little bit of space. The other thing you could do is you could put your dog on a place. The dog should know it already. to create a little distance and call the dog off it. You could take a little bit of food, you could throw some food and make a game out of it. Let the dog go get the food. When it's away from you on the long line, you can recall it from there. So there's a ton of different things. Even if the dog is right at your side, Webb, you don't need a lot of distance. With the dog right at your side, e-collar comes on, Luca, come. As you back up one big step, the dog's going to turn around and come to you, even though it's right next to you. And that's all we're doing is teaching what the stimulation means with the command. Okay. But I do have a bunch of videos on that should help you. Judy, I bought the Mini Educator a while ago, read your book, watched your videos, and started with the introduction. I'm struggling with finding the correct level. It seems like it is different every single day. It makes me so nervous. I don't want to screw this up, and I stopped for a while. Again, Judy, you're not going to screw your dog up, and it could be different every day. Listen, when people tell me they're going to take the e-collar and mark what hole it goes on so it makes the same contact, you can't do that because the dog's neck changes all the time. It swells, it goes down, depending on how the head is when you put it on, everything. Depending on if you have a lot of dead hair in there, the dog's going to feel it different. But here's the thing, Judy. If you check your dog's level and one day it's on a 6, which is pretty average, and the next day it's on a 9, that's not a big deal. You know what I mean? That's not a big deal. If I put that e-collar on my testicles, a 6 and a 9 isn't going to feel any different, right? I wouldn't even feel it. I have to go much higher than that. So when you're talking 3, 4, 5, 6 levels, it's not very different for most situations, Judy. It's just not. Make sure you're getting the e-collar snug. And here's another thing, guys. Take a sip, everybody. I'm going to show you the 3 different e-collars I use, okay? Here's the Rolls Royce of e-collars. This is the Martin System Chameleon 3, right? Now you see this is very sleek. It's got the bungee cord. It fits flat to the dog's neck. Most people will never even know it's an e-collar. And it has the wing contact points. See them? Right here. Right here. So it makes equal contact on each side. Then to top it off, there's a light indicator here that lets you know whether you're making contact or not. So this is the Rolls Royce of e-collars. Tremendous, tremendous piece of equipment. Here's the little remote, but it comes with a finger kick also. So all you have to do is put a little ring on your finger. Then we have also, this is the Chameleon Extender by Martin Systems. So basically, you get this collar part here, the strap, right? You affix your e-collar of choice. So this is a mini educator from Ecollar Technologies. So this is cheaper than the Chameleon 3, the extender. You put your e-collar of choice on here, and you can still put the feather contacts on or the regular contact points, but they still come in on each side, making great even contact. I use a ton of mini educators. Most of my clients do. If your dog has any kind of long hair, unless it's a Doberman or a Great Dane or a German short hair pointer, use nothing but these wing contact points. For you folks with German Shepherds, don't keep screwing with contact. These are the only contacts you should be using. Any kind of long hair on a dog, medium hair, it doesn't have to be real long hair. One of the most difficult things we have in e-collar training is making good, consistent contact. And the old contact points, I don't screw with them anymore. Almost every dog gets these unless it's like a Doberman or something, okay? Really important to have the right equipment, guys. Really, really important. So, Judy, that's not a big deal. Don't be scared. You're not going to mess your dog up. If you guys accidentally hit a button and the thing's turned up too high and the dog yelps, don't address it. Don't make a big deal about it. The dog will be fine unless you start acting like it's a big deal. Then you can destroy your dog. So don't do that, okay? Okay. Yeah. Hey, a little more bourbon, JD. You might get that test. All right. Let's see. Nick versus continuous to correct back into a position for higher level obedience. Jim, great question. I'm glad you brought that up because I very often forget to talk about that. Okay. Jim Ferry says, Nick versus continuous to correct, get back into position for higher level obedience. Two things, Jim. You could either use the nick button, tap, 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 or it could stay on continuous, tap, 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 tap. Every now and then, some dogs will respond much better to the nick sensation. That real quick thing, right? A lot of dogs will respond a lot better to that nick, 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 nick over the continuous because it is a different feel. Okay. Some of the more sensitive dogs do much more better with just on a nick. But the problem is with the nick, if the dog's not real sensitive, it is so quick. A lot of dogs don't even pay attention to it. Once the dog is trained, right? Once I'm through the conditioning phase and through the intermittent phase and the dog is just trained, I'm very rarely utilizing the e-collar before the command. Then it's there if I just need it. Unless we are working on higher level obedience, like Jim said, okay, then we could use it as a motivator. I just don't do a lot of that. But for the most part, once the dog is trained, guys, the e-collar is not coming on before I give the command. If the dog is in a park 100 yards away from me, the e-collar is not coming on continuous and I'm giving the command. Once the dog is trained, okay, I'll say, Luca, come. If he doesn't come, then I tap, tap after. Hope that makes sense. Great question, Jim. Yeah, but some dogs definitely do respond a lot better to the nick command. Phil Milligan. Hey, Phil, any benefits of using the e-collar along with positive confusion, clicker, but separate sessions for dogs that are properly e-collar trained but are reactive to some dogs? Yeah, definitely, Phil, for sure. Especially in the case where sometimes all of a sudden the marking and rewarding isn't affecting the dog, isn't beneficial all of a sudden, then at times it's very necessary to remind the dog you don't have a choice and you're much better off the other way. So it could be a little confusing, and I only have clients do it when I'm there to really instruct them and show them. But yeah, absolutely, for sure. And let me give you a better example, Phil. Let's say we're doing the whole confusion thing and we're marking the stress and rewarding the stress, right, with the clicker. Dog sees a dog come in, it starts feeling a little uncomfortable. We're clicking the stress, not the blow up, and the dog's turning and rewarding. At times, what I'll do is the stress is coming on. If the dog is good into training already, then I may just tap, tap, and without a command, the dog's going to turn and look, and I'm going to mark and reward. So great question, Phil. I hope that makes sense and helps a little bit. Candace Ann, how to fix a collar-savvy dog? If possible, spent over a month trying to counter condition it. He would wear his flat and e-collar all day. I take both off at night. Did this for an entire month with the collar turned off. Ideas. Yeah. A dog becomes collar savvy, Candace, for a couple of reasons. Mostly because people will start conditioning the dog and then they bypass the whole intermittent phase. They don't spend enough time there or none at all. Meaning in that intermittent phase, when we're utilizing those 4 combinations, this is where the dog is learning how to respond, whether the e-collar is there or not, whether there are rewards there or not, because in the long run, all dogs need to respond to a verbal command without any tools. That's the goal, okay? So if you're not putting in the work properly in that intermittent phase, that's going to create issues. Or if you're just using it to correct the dog, that's going to create a collar savvy dog. If you put the collar on, train, and then take it off, that's going to create a collar savvy dog. Okay? Start from the conditioning phase, spend a few days there, jump into the intermittent phase, and do the whole process from the start, and the dog will be fine. But you have to spend time in that intermittent phase. Okay? That's where the dog learns whether to respond, whether the e-collar is there or not. Very, very important. Just having the collar on, that's not counter conditioning anything. You know, it's just not. You got to get back to using it. You have to. Our dog's only real behavior issue is barking at animals on TV. She's a 3-year-old Rottweiler. Is this something you try an e-collar for? We feel like we've tried everything short of actually removing her from the room. TV. Oh, I dealt with this in a big way with a Rottweiler. Let me explain. Told this story before. Dumbest day of dog training I ever did. I'll make it very quick. This exact scenario. Older couple calls me in Nashville. They got this big ass Rottweiler. They can't watch TV with him. They can't do it. Okay. Anything that comes on, he's attacking their giant TV. But the call I got about this dog was pretty scary. The wife hated this dog, and she was scared it was going to kill her. She'd wake up in the middle of the night to this dog standing on the bed, growling at her, showing his teeth. I'm like, holy, like, this is the day I get hurt. I go see this dog. To make a long story short, the dog is awesome. Awesome. Me and him are buds right from the start. The wife hated the dog. The husband loved the dog, did everything wrong, and they fought constantly. So there's already a lot of conflict there because of the dog. The dog barked nonstop when they watched TV. The problem was, the second I started taking the dog wouldn't bark at the TV with me there. Even though I did no training, I never corrected the dog for anything. I never worked with the dog really. I started working with him a little bit, but he wouldn't bark at the TV. So I take this dog on, and I think I did 1 lesson or 2 lessons, whatever, but he would not bark at the TV with me there. So the owner, the man, says to me, I got an idea. How about you do this? How about next time you come, I'll leave the door unlocked. They had this condo in Nashville. It was 3 floors. You walk in, you go downstairs, then you got the first floor and second floor. And downstairs, these people were old. And this guy's mother was living downstairs. She was like 100 years old. So he says to me, how about when you show up, you just walk in and sneak upstairs and catch him in the act? And I was like, oh my God, this isn't smart. Freaking Rottweiler. I'm going to walk in the house and this isn't good. So me knowing that this isn't good and this is dangerous, I say, yeah, sure. Okay, I'll do it. Stupid. I don't know what I was thinking, right? So I show up to the condo. I get out. I'm walking to the condo. And I hear the dog upstairs. Roof, 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 going at the TV. I'm going, what the fuck did I get myself into here? I'm like, this is stupid. Now I'm really having second doubts. I sneak in the front door. I take 1 step in and I shut the door real quiet. As I shut the door, the old lady downstairs peeks around the corner looking up at me, and I go, she didn't know who I was. I'm like, this is out of a bad movie. And she just goes back in, probably thinking I'm robbing the place. And I'm thinking, this is awful, right? I start walking real quiet. I take 1 step. I hear the barking stop, and I hear this dog running down the stairs. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to die. And he gets closer, and I start saying his name. Hey, buddy, it's me, Good thing he stopped right in front of me. He thought about really taking me out, but he didn't. Dumbest thing I ever did. The issue there, Kaylee, is the dog never did it in front of me. Never, okay? He only did it with them because there was a lot of conflict in that home, and there was not a great relationship there. When we started working with that dog, and I got them on board, and the wife had to take over because the husband really wouldn't stick to doing things, the barking stopped. We never corrected it, okay? There was a serious relationship going on there. And a lot of these dogs, especially like a Rottweiler that does that, you can correct it till you're blue in the face, and a lot of times it's not going to help. It may even make it worse. You could try it, but if I was going to do that, I would make sure there's a really strong foundation first, okay? But you have to ask yourself this, Kaylee. If you have a dog that's doing something like that, the dog has to understand, hey, knock the shit off. If they don't, there's a problem. There's a real deep problem within the relationship there that you have to address and ask yourself why. Why is it that I can't tell my dog to stop doing something and it just stops? That's really important. That's the basic fundamentals that we have to achieve. That is basic obedience. Stop doing what you're doing because I said so. It's really that simple, okay? So if you do have to resort to that, make sure you lay a good few weeks of foundation first, okay? And then that very well may help you. More of a comment, Paul Stromberg. I've been looking for new reading material on training, and your Ecollar book pops up basically every time. Think you have written a masterpiece. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. It's a masterpiece that a 6th grader could read. I'm no author, but it's done well. Appreciate that, Paul. Honestly, it's done well because it works. I gave people what they needed. They needed something simple that they can get through quick and benefit from. Michelle Brown, identifying if and when the e-collar becomes a necessary tool in developing training. Okay, Michelle, that question scares me. Okay. When the e-collar becomes a necessary tool in developing training. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Here's the thing, Michelle. E-collars benefit all dogs. It's just whether you want to utilize it or not. Okay. The wrong mindset to have is deciding to get the e-collar, to go to the e-collar because there's a problem. Okay. You're going to do better if you add it and use it properly. It's that simple. All dogs benefit from it. All dogs benefit from it. That's a statement that people will disagree with and not like. I think I've met one or two dogs, okay, in my lifetime that had a hard time with the e-collar only because the abuse with the tool before was so bad. Now, 99% of the time, for many years, most of the dogs I dealt with were already fried with the e-collar. And 99% of them turn right around, not an issue. Every now and then you get one that their demeanor does change no matter what you do with the training. So it's a very beneficial tool for any dog. It will help your training. If you're a good trainer, it'll make you a better trainer. If you're a shitty trainer, it will destroy you and the dog. Travis Sharp, I'm using the mini educator, following your protocol, found my dog's working level. I think many times it simply seems like it's not making contact. It's tight and all that. This is on my lab. Advice, tips. Okay, Travis, let's talk about some contact tips here. A couple of things to help you guys with contact, all right? First, basic, you have to make sure that the dog's neck is brushed out very, very well daily. Dead hair will make it more difficult to make good contact. So make sure you're brushing out the dog's neck, okay? Also, especially the dogs that can have big necks, the Labs, the Rottweilers, the Pitties, things like that, you're going to get better contact if you have the dog in a down or standing position. Most people put the e-collar on with the dog sitting in front of them. The problem is when you put it on in the sitting position, often their head is down a little bit, flexing the neck, or looking up at you, flexing the opposite way. So when you think that the e-collar is tight, the second the head goes back to a neutral position, it loosens up. Okay? Thirdly, depending on what kind of contact points you have on a lab, if you're using a Dogtra, a mini educator, anything like that, these are the only contact points you should be using. When you put this e-collar around the dog's head, okay, when this buckle goes in there, before you tighten it down, make sure you take your finger and pull out all the hair from underneath. Because a lot of times you think you're making a tight fit and there's hair in the buckle here, preventing really good fit. So pull it all out, put your fingers under the strap and tighten it down tight on your two fingers. This way you're not choking the dog, but you're making good contact. With the Martin system thing and the feather contacts, you're going to make good contact because it's coming in from the side all the time. Some dogs, you'll do better contact, have better contact with the bungee strap. Some, the regular strap is fine. But those are all things that will make it. But the contact points are vital. The feathers from the Martin on the side, the wings from Ecollar Technology, a must, okay? That will fix your problem, I promise you. I promise you. All right, let's see where else we're at here. Travis. Alan Kruko, could you explain the collar tightness, placement, and how to ensure good contact? I have a German Shepherd, regular coat. I bought the mini educator in your book, watched your videos, and was very excited to start, but I can't seem to get good contact consistently. I don't want to crank it up too high. Sometimes she feels at a 4 to a 6. Other times go up to a 12 to a 14. I have bought various length posts. The wing ones and multiple punji style collars, trying to use it correctly. Tried brushing the neck area, move fur. I know it works because tested on me. Just frustrating that I can't get this right. Okay, so you already have the wings, Alex, so that's a good thing. Sometimes she feels at a 4, other times at a 12 or 14. I have bought various length posts and the winged ones and multiple bungee style collars. Trying. All right, let me ask you something, Alex. Have you used the regular straps? Because sometimes the bungees don't work well on the dog. Certain dogs, the bungees come loose. Try setting the collar a little lower, also, not so high on the head. With the Martin system, you set it low and it kind of raises up on its own and sets itself. So it's real easy to make the contact. You normally don't have issues making the try the things I mentioned before. Put it in a down or a standing. Make sure you're getting your fingers under there and tighten it on there so it's really tight. But normally with those wings, Alan, it's just not an issue. Here's the problem, guys. Most people put the e-collar on way too loose. Here's why it's so important that you don't do that. If you have it on loose, you're not going to make good, consistent contact. So when you're searching for the dog's lowest level, you're going up, nothing, going up, nothing, going up, nothing, because you're not making good contact. Then all of a sudden, you make some contact and you're up way too high and you light the dog up. Stop being scared that the collar is too tight. If you think it's choking the dog, drop it down more on the neck, okay? Ira Noemi Perez, treats versus verbal praise. Here's the thing. I mean, treats, not into treats. Food, yes, there's a difference. Giving your dog treats isn't really dog training. Using the dog's food is extremely beneficial, okay? So for me, food is used especially in the beginning to teach new behaviors, all right? Use the dog's food, what they eat through the day. That's always, for most dogs, that's going to be the big motivator. And it's easier to teach new behaviors with food than praise. How do you lure dogs or shape dogs into position with praise? It's kind of tough, okay? So if your dog is food motivated, go with the food. But praise is still part of it. It's still important. There are dogs that have absolutely zero food drive. You have to resort to verbal praise. But dogs need food to live, and that's always going to be more beneficial than verbal praise. All right. Monique Saunders, my 10-month-old bullies other dogs will snap at or full-on pin them down and fly into them. No actual biting, breaking skin, but acts very aggressive. It's a big backyard, but he does it regularly. How can I stop this? I usually really growl at him. I hope that's a joke. The two he is doing it to is his sister and mother, but he will soon be moving to a different house with another male, and I'm worried about fighting. Please help. Yeah, Monique, absolutely. Growling at them, that's ridiculous. I know someone probably told you to do that. That's insane. You're giving that dog way too much freedom. 10-month-old, he doesn't have an opportunity to do that. You can't give him an opportunity to do that. What do you think you're doing to the other dogs that are getting their ass kicked and being harassed like that? You have to look out for them. Put that dog on a leash and don't give him the opportunity. If that dog is 10-month-old now, it's going to get a lot worse. And when he goes to a house with that other male, that's not going to end well. I can almost guarantee it's not going to end well. That dog needs to be trained now. He needs to be with the professional now. And that freedom needs to be taken away. And you need to build a very strong foundation on that dog. Do not let him in the yard off leash with those dogs. Separate him. Keep him on a leash and work him. Don't give him the opportunity. Lori Vu. This is also my question. How can an e-collar help a dog that's fearful and reactive to people? We've already touched on that, okay? But you can't put an e-collar on a dog and try to do something with it to help that situation or punish the fear or the reactivity towards people. You have to put in the work and build the dog. That's how the e-collar helps in that. It's not a quick fix or a magic wand, okay? Here's the thing. Coral asked it originally. Explain how it can benefit a fear-aggressive dog, fearful towards humans. It's a confidence booster, Coral, okay? In the training process, you're building the foundation. You're building what the dog knows. You're building the relationship. The e-collar provides a little something extra where the dog learns how to win. It learns how to better its situation. And that's part of it. It's not the whole thing, but it's part of it. So it is a very vital tool in that process. Not as important as your handling skills, as you living with that animal. That's where that's really going to be fixed. Okay. Jody Johnson, I heard a new one yesterday, 8-year-old dog being treated for heartworm, showing aggression and has no obedience. Vet told the owners an e-collar could kill her dog. You just can't make this shit up. Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty common. Teaching an old dog new tricks. Ashley Paws. I have 2 dogs. One is older. I've noticed the older one is taking longer to catch on to the training I've been trying to do lately, both with and without the e-collar. I'm content to be patient and go slowly. Just wondering if you have any expert tips for working with older dogs. Well, I'm not sure how you're utilizing the e-collar. Okay, use your dog's food. That's how he eats. Keep it slow. Build the foundation. Keep it a couple minutes at a time, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds tops. Okay. Becky, using the mini educator to help with dog aggression to visitors. He has bitten already, but we need to help him so we can have company again. 2-year-old German Shepherd. No chance. No chance there, Becky. That's not going to help you. It's going to make it worse. Using the mini educator to help with dog aggression to visitors. Not going to work. You need a professional there, Becky. You will destroy that dog. I can guarantee you 100% you will destroy that dog. Don't do it. You can't put an e-collar on your dog, a 2-year-old German Shepherd that's aggressive towards visitors, and think you're going to correct that with an e-collar and fix it. You're going to destroy the dog. Put the tool away and find a trainer. Or put the dog away when people come over, but that's not going to cut it. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I promise you. Megan Reynolds, working with an extremely anxious 6-year-old German Shepherd that I got almost 2 weeks ago as a foster dog. He's extremely pushy. He barks out of excitement and barks a lot. He whines when released from commands, which might turn into barking. I've started the e-collar training yesterday. I'm hesitant to correct the barking because it's just excitement. Should I correct it or continue the training I've been doing? The barking is just a result of excitement, but I'm unsure how to calm him down. I've been doing threshold work, sit stays, down stays, loose lead heel, and slip lead, and lots of directional turns. We've practiced place some while I'm working other dogs. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Time, Megan. Give him some time. You just got him. Use a leash. I covered this a lot at the seminar this weekend. If you have a dog that's that anxious and worked up, then you have to change your demeanor. You got to be extremely stoic and calm and use the leash to keep that dog calm and reserved. Take your time. Give him a little time. He's still new. He gets nothing while he's whining. Nothing. He learns that only things come good when he's calm. And you have to be good with your timing on grabbing those calm moments to reward that. Okay? And then the whining and stuff, I'd prefer that leash coming from the leash than the e-collar, to be honest with you, if it gets to that point. Can you show what the correct placement on the neck and fit looks like? I can't tell if it's too loose, tight on my dog. We haven't started conditioning. Just put him on. Keeps neutral association. Placement is anywhere between the ears. I don't like it right on the larynx here, right on the throat. So any place under the ears. Okay. Some dogs will do better with it up high. Some will do better with it off low. If you put it tight enough and it's up high, you could kind of choke the dog a little bit. So drop it down a little lower and make it comfortable for the dog. You should barely be able to get your 2 fingers under the strap, not the receiver. If you can move the e-collar around at all, it's too loose. Okay. It has to be really tight on your fingers when you try to get it under the strap. I see some trainers use both an e-collar as well as a bark collar for barking dogs, not at the same time, but just in general. Is there a reason you shouldn't use an e-collar only? Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Actually, I've never used a bark collar, Suzanne, ever in my life. Not saying that it's a bad thing. I wouldn't do that. No. You know, that could definitely create some confusion. Must be on his page to watch. Do I have to do everything for you women? I don't even want to go there. Jennifer Hyatt Keel. I gave Scout 17-month-old English Lab a beef cheek roll yesterday. He growled when I got close to him and snapped, almost bit me. He has never done that, let alone with any other bones or treats I gave him. Believe me, I will not be buying another one. He wasn't the same dog at that point. He is still bitey, but sure, it's for attention for me now. We're still figuring out how to get him to stop it. Asking him down, go place, etc. doesn't work. I grabbed his collar for correction, and he nips back at me. I have to get up and leave room or push him away. No, he's not trained all the way with e-collar. My own fault, busy and maybe lazy. That's a serious thing, Jennifer, but it's also a very natural thing. You know, that dog sees that as an extremely high value object, prize, very high value. And unfortunately, that's very natural to a dog to protect it. The problem is the second you back up, he just used what he has to win, and he learned how to keep you away. You know, so the second that happened, that made things a little more difficult. You have two options. You don't give him stuff like that, or you have to make it very clear that it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. That's a relationship issue there. Okay? Total relationship issue. Why does that dog look at you as not important enough? Why does it not have respect for you enough to just back off? You know, that natural guarding instinct is coming out. So that's a tough case right there. You know what I mean? It's very tough. You shouldn't be giving that to him anymore. Okay. But if you're going to follow through with it, then you got to follow through. You can't back off. All right. Rose Emery brought the e-collar out for the first time. Loved the confusion on her face when hearing tone. Calling her away from interesting leaf pile took a short vibration. Freed came back wonderfully. Oh, Rose, you're killing me. You're killing me. That's so wrong in every way. I got to take a sip here. Not good, Rose. Not good. So nothing you did there, Rose, is something that I do. I don't use the tone. I don't use the vibrate. Okay? You're not training your dog. You're training your dog with a tone and a vibrate that has no consequence. So eventually, when the dog doesn't listen, you have no chance of succeeding. Okay? Train the e-collar normally. And if you're not comfortable with it, then don't. But what you're doing there, it's not going to provide the kind of long-lasting benefits that you're looking for. You know, it just isn't. It's not going to happen. All right. You're giving the dog the tone, which is the warning that the vibration is coming. Think about that. The second there's something more interesting than the leaf pile there, what are you going to do? It's not going to provide any benefit. There is no way out of training your dog properly here, guys. If you want to use e-collars, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Just know that the vibration has limitations. And when you let your dog off leash, if it is not in a safely fenced area, you're taking a risk. You have to understand that. Amadeus, hey Larry, I've read your book and watched all your YouTube videos. I'm sorry about that, Amadeus. And all your play sessions and e-collar training. My 9-month-old Shetland sheepdog have built a strong relationship, and I've just started using the e-collar for about 8 days. He works on a level 1 or 2 all the time, outdoors or not. That's sensitive. I've been struggling to find his work level because I've been accidentally shocking him at a 2 or a 3 when trying to find his working level. How do I find a working level for such a sensitive dog? Remember, there was a level 1 Aussie Doodle you worked with. And how do I make sure that the tap-tap recall is taught properly? He only responds sometimes on our free walks, so I'm not sure he even gets it. And going on level higher would cause him to feel an uncomfortable shock. My third question is, on free walks, if I have to correct him for not coming immediately, if he comes and blows past me and puts his nose on the ground, what should I do? Use the leash to guide him all the way. Thanks so much, Larry. Been struggling to make e-collar training good for myself. Sensitive dude. Amadeus, man, that's long. I don't remember the YouTube. First of all, you have to make sure he's actually responding to the e-collar on a 1 or 2. A lot of people think so, and very often the dog is not. Very often the dog is responding to the verbal command or the body language or the leash pressure, or even the clicking of the remote at times. Someone told me yesterday that, I don't know if this is true, if you listen to the receiver, you could actually hear a little noise when you press down on the button. Go ahead out, Mango. I don't know if that's true or not. But what will, I'm sorry, Renz, I didn't know you were there. What will happen quite often is people go through all this training for a while. They think the dog's doing great and the dog works on a 1 or 2. Then they get the dog off leash in the real world and the dog doesn't respond when they really need it to. So I think it's very important that you make sure the dog is listening there, is feeling the e-collar, because I think there's a really good chance it's not. Especially with a dog with that kind of long hair, just make sure. Okay. The way you test that, put the dog on a long line, go somewhere when he's not paying attention, just tap, tap, see what happens on that level. See if he turns and comes to you. If he doesn't, he's not understanding it and not feeling it. Okay. Third question. My third question is on free walks. If I have to correct him for not coming immediately, if he comes and blows past me and puts his nose into the ground, what should I do? Use the leash to guide him? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I wouldn't reward it. I just use the leash. I'd give him a correction for not responding to you properly with the leash. I have heard mixed reviews on this. So what is your recommendation? Contact points for the mini educator on a Siberian? The wings. 100%, Caitlin. 100% the wings. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. We started training recall with the e-collar. I am ever petrified to fully trust my dog to come back. Besides being my heart dog, he's also an intact, well cared for, SAR man-trailing dog with an independent mind of his own, who I am afraid would be snatched in a heartbeat or not return if he ever takes off. Question: what can I possibly do to get comfortable with having him truly off leash, especially while hiking off trail in state forest? Pick of my goober for attention. Nice dog. You got to put the work in. You got to put the work in, and you don't get rid of the leash too soon. Too many people get rid of the leash way too soon. Okay? Keep the leash on the dog. If you're going to go hiking, put the long line on. This way it's there as a safety net. People drop the leash way too soon, and then what they wind up doing is going to high levels to correct the behavior, and that doesn't always work if the dog's not ready for the high level correction. Does that make sense? You'll know when you could trust them off leash, believe me. I promise you. Matt Shetler, what do you consider a high setting? When my male German Shepherd roaming my 10 acres spots an animal, I recall, but I'm up to a 50. Thick fur, do I need the wings? 100%, Matt. 100% need the wings. And, it all depends on the dog and the situation. What's too high to save your dog's life or another animal? You know what I mean? No problem, Ree. You can hear it click. Yeah, absolutely, Misty, for sure. Hey, Joe, what's up, buddy? It's good. He's lying there calm. Better call him, which make it from excitement. Let's see. Mark, hello. I have an Australian cattle dog who has a very strong predatory instinct. How the e-collar could help us during sheep driving lessons. Yeah, that's an easy one, Mark. Help you a ton, but again, the training's got to be a little accurate there. Predatory, yeah, and of course the cattle dogs definitely do, but that will make life much easier for you. And here's the thing, Mark, with the cattle dogs, the border collies and everything, it's not just to stop them from chasing animals. You have to understand, you could teach directional work with the e-collar in a beautiful way. You could teach the dog to go right, left, back, forward with different taps and signals on the e-collar. Pat Nolan's a friggin' wizard at that stuff. Look at some of his stuff. You could do amazing things with the e-collar once the dog understands it. I talked about that at the seminar yesterday, and I have a video on YouTube of Luca. People wanted to see more advanced stuff. I said, well, what's advanced stuff? To me, advanced stuff is just the mastery of the basics in all situations. So I thought about it. I said, all right, I'll show you this. So I took Luca out to a little green electrical box in front of my house. I didn't think he had ever been on it at the time. I told people what I was going to do before we did it. I said, I'm going to start placing him on the green box from right next to it. He knows he'll place on anything, right? He knows it very well. And each time I'm going to go back a little further. And I had the sound box on so people could hear. And I said, eventually, when I get to a certain distance, some confusion is going to set in. And he's going to start looking around or spinning around, not knowing what direction to go. That's what dogs do, right? There's a limit on the distance they can do something unless you work on it. I said, at that moment, when that confusion sets in, I'm going to start utilizing the e-collar, not to correct him, not to punish him for not knowing which way to go, but to guide him. And so with the sound box on, when we got to a certain distance, I said, okay, I think about now is where the confusion might come in and he might not know which way to go. I sent him to the place, and as soon as he took off, he stopped and he started looking around and spinning. And at that moment, I started tap, tap, tap. As long as he was facing in the wrong direction, tap, tap. The second his body pointed in the right direction, I stopped tapping and he went flying to the place thing. And when he got there, he didn't know I had a tug on me. I whipped it out and I said yes, and he got a big reward because I knew eventually he would fail. He wouldn't know. The confusion would be there. But because he knows the e-collar stimulation very well, tap, tap, tap means wrong answer. But as soon as the right direction came, it stops. He knew that was to go. Now, to show it even in a more powerful light to people, I went out the very next day, because all these people say, you know, once you start that, then the e-collar has to be used. Okay. So I went out the very next day. We did the same exact thing, except this time I went back further. No e-collar. One command. Go. Place. He went like a rocket all the way down there, got where he had to. Yes, he comes and gets a tug. That's how powerful that learning moment was for that dog. That's what people are missing out on. Okay. You got it, Nigella. Nothing I've done has helped my dog walk reliably on leash without pulling. I've tried your leg pivots. Nothing works. I have to use a gentle leader to not get pulled on my ass. Any ideas? He's a 1.5. That's an easy thing, Corey. Like all dogs, I mean, every single dog, they walk really. It's really easy. It takes minutes. I promise you. Send me some video of what you're doing and I'll help you. Okay. But it's got to be good video. Hey guys, when I ask you to send me video so I can help you, some of the bullshit you send me, I'm blown away that you have the balls to send it. You know, you got to put a little effort into it. Have someone take your phone sideways and get good footage so we can talk about it and I could try to help you. The shit you guys send me, I can't even make out I can't even make out if it's a person or a dog or a horse or a freaking chupacabra. You know, send me some good stuff and I'll help you. Matt, can I ask about the wings? I use a ecollar technology 300. My male German, 95 pound. He responds fine, but should I get the wings? Absolutely, Matt. The wings are the way to go, especially with the shepherds. You know, okay, I'll go get the regular collar and wings. Thanks, down. We'll try some advice. You got it, Alan. My female is great. I've trained her with the e-collar, watching your videos as well as verbal and hand signals. Any ideas in training my husband to work with her as I do? His philosophy is she's just a pet. My philosophy is that don't want her confused. Yeah, don't let him do it, Michelle. You do the training. You do the training. Yes, Misty, never put the leash on the e-collar. Absolutely. Always put it on the flat collar. Absolutely. A CPPC, I've always learned never leash on collar, but this is new. I'm confused for as contact points to versus the pinch. Stupid question. Sometimes I get dogs that heel entirely too close, making it hard to walk. How do I fix this? Hey, Corey, use your leg. Not a stupid question. Dogs will lean into you for a couple of reasons. Sometimes they're just insecure, and so they have to have that contact. Sometimes they're just plain disrespectful, and they want to claim that space. Take your leg and give them a good bump off. Every time they touch you, bump them off a little bit. A lot of dogs do it, and that works very quick. I love body contact. I love using my body. Dogs get it very, very well. You know, dogs get it very, very well. Age limit. How young would you start? Oh, hey, Jacqueline. Okay. I prefer the dog to be at least 6 or 7 months old. Many people will start younger. I like to do all the training without the e-collar. You know, for me, the longer, the better. If you go wait a year, that's what I'd like. Luca was 9 months old, but I knew it was time for him. Buddy, our golden doodle, was 5 months old, very young, but there was a specific reason why. You know, don't rush it. Do all the training without, but I like no earlier than 6 or 7 months old for most people, most dogs. Okay, 8 or 9 months, even better. Good, I read at a 6th grade level. Thanks, Jeff. Have you heard of CPPC? I have not, Catherine. I'm not very good with the abbreviations there, you know. Can you explain capping drive? Yeah, Misty, in a nutshell, to keep it short, you'll see me do it a lot with my dogs. You get them fired up, get them all full of drive and working for a tug, a toy, a ball, food, whatever, and then you ask for obedience in the middle, stopping them. You get the dog fired up, you ask for it down. They got to calm down. You can reward, you can go back into it, whatever. But it's basically taking them at a really high level of excitement and then asking them to calm down in obedience. You know, that's a simplified answer, you know, and you should be able to do that. But it's very good training too. My GS has been e-collar trained, but continues to blow me off if he sees a squirrel or other dog. Then he's not e-collar trained, Mary. He's just not, you know. I've started to use the clicker to distract and de-escalate. It's better, but he's definitely not perfect. He knows the difference. He wasn't e-collar trained by anyone who knew what they were doing, Mary. Otherwise, that wouldn't even be an issue. It's just not. You know, that's, hi, Fia. Hello, Fia. You want to come say hello? I barely see my daughter anymore, but she's a big help to me when I'm gone. And we're getting a puppy. Say hi to the world. That's my girl. Thanks for the positive confusion with the eCollar. I was wondering that too. No problem, Gina. Very welcome. A trainer recommended this to me for mine. eCollar products, wings, soft comfort patch, short points for short hair. I can't click that, Naja, but it sounds like that's what I'm talking about. On walks with my long coat German Shepherd, we come across a very leash reactive dog, aggressive barking. My dog engages. I pull over and tap, and still feel him. I'm in no man's land on level of the 35 dog dress. 74, my dog is escalating. I'm hesitating to the next level. Is my own knee-jerk reaction wings? No, you're doing the wrong. That you shouldn't be using the e-collar there, Lauren. You're making it worse. You know, you're making 100% worse. You're creating more frustration and more anger in the dog. Okay, not a good thing. Not a good thing. You know, that has to come from you and the leash. And that's what I talked about earlier in this video. Your dog needs to be able to be still and next to you with nothing but the leash on coming from you in all situations. It's the most basic of obedience. And so when you come across an aggressive dog and he blows up, lighting him up with the e-collar, it's awful. It's awful. It's the worst possible thing you could do. That, along with nailing him with the prong collar, you're destroying you're never going to get to where you want to do. Don't put the dog in that situation. You have to build up that foundation and build a lot more of a stronger relationship and understanding with that dog. You just have to, but you're making it much worse with the e-collar, I promise you. Just use the comfort pad with no wings. My bulldog uses just comfort. My German Shepherd wing comfort pad helps. Had Dobies for 30 years. Originally used the regular contact points. Went to feather tips. Way less irritation. Yeah, absolutely, Rob. That's another big benefit. I'm late to show Larry. What are you drinking? Oh, now I'm drinking the Eagle Rare Barrel Strength 116 proof. I started off with Old Forester 1920 115 proof. I love both very much. What do you use for a Dobie? Usually, you could use the regular, but even there, the wings, they make a set of wings for short hair dogs, so they're just smaller. I just like them much better, guys. I really do. You know, I've had really good luck with them. Not everyone can afford the Martin collar. I get it. The Chameleon is a tremendous piece of equipment. I'm getting more clients go to the Martin Chameleon for one simple reason. Not only because of the quality and the feathers and everything, but because they don't like people asking about the e-collar. And they catch a lot of shit in certain areas. People get harassed because they have an e-collar on their dog. When this is on, it's flat. Doesn't look like an e-collar. It fits very sleek on the dog. And that's why a lot of people are going to it. Dennis Riley, wing contacts have been a game changer for me and my pack. Awesome, Dennis. It really has. And that's the thing. The right equipment makes things a lot better. Amazon or from the eCollar Tech website. Listen, guys. Amazon sells a lot of counterfeit stuff, believe it or not. Go right to Ecollar Technologies. They're a great company to deal with. Screw Amazon. Go right to the company, and a bungee collar works every time. My balls are level 3. You have sensitive balls, Jeff. We're going to need. All right. I think Megan, my shepherd, does the same, glued to my leg. I tried backing up, and he did perfect competition style heel backwards. He would not leave my side. I had to throw food to get him away from me. Put him on a place too. What do you do with a sensitive mellow dog? Acts like he has had a firecracker lit in his butt when he got a vibrate correction. Stop with the vibrate. Stop it. That's why it sucks. It sucks for the dog. Stop using the vibration, people. Unless you're in your bedroom under the covers, do not use the vibration. He's an Aussie. He's in food mode. He loves pets, loves and herding our German Shepherd. German Shepherd enjoys the prong and Ecollars. She's working. Forget the vibration. It's for pleasure only. It's not for dog training. Okay? I'm going to get your book for Christmas. Jeff. Hey, Jeff, I tell you what, buddy. You send me your email, and I'll send you the electronic version as soon as this is over. Training we went through with prong with Officer K9, they don't use food for training. No, of course not. They're too tough and macho. Yeah, of course they don't use food. They're big bad dudes. Hazel, I totally agree with you. You seem like one of the only trainers left with some common sense. Thanks, Hazel. I try. I fail in a lot of areas, but this stuff means a lot to me. These animals mean a ton to me. I'm not perfect by no means. I'm not the best dog trainer on the planet, but I've done really well, and I'm in a great place. And people can hate me, but I guarantee you no dog ever will. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I do everything I possibly can to make that connection with the animal work. Sometimes it's hard, but it's necessary. Hey, to be totally honest, my dog does great with the pager only. Had to get him that one because he's so small for the other ones, and his neck gets irritated. He thinks as long as you condition them very definitely. Here's the thing, Hazel. I took several dogs, and if it's a little tiny dog, I totally get it. I'm not even a big fan of e-collars for really little dogs. I'm really not. I did some tests with really sensitive dogs. E-collar tripped, and then we did all the conditioning with the vibrate collar. Did everything right. Once there were real distractions around, even if the dog just had their nose and a scent on the ground, that vibration collar was useless. Useless. It just wasn't, because unless it's paired with some kind of consequence, just useless. I have a chameleon extender with feather touch contact. Stim doesn't bother dog. We work on a 4, but the contacts seem to bother him. He's scratching and shrinking posture as soon as the collar is on. Any suggestions for making him more comfortable so the collar itself isn't bothering him? Try different contacts. I talked about that Westie at the seminar. That was crazy, man. He was fine with regular contacts, but the wings made the dog freak out. It wasn't good. My dog hates to vibrate, Mark. Yeah, absolutely. It sucks. It really helped me look at the YouTube collar. I don't know. Oh, hey, Jesse. How are you? Your preference on tap versus continuous stem. Hey, Joe. Depends. In the conditioning phase, it doesn't really matter there, Joe, to be honest with you. But in the conditioning phase, if you're tap, tap, tap before the command or continuous, it's okay. But what I found was the tap, tap, tap is a little more difficult for the average dog owner. That's why I just stick with the continuous to keep it easy, But once the dog is trained, then there is no more continuous before the commands, unless we're working on fancy obedience. Then the e-collar be a great tool to have a dog start learning how to live in the house without you home. 7-month-old Rottweiler, great, but sleeps in kennel when we can't give full attention or when not home. Looking to start within the next 6 months to get a year right before the day of crating stops. Melissa Halbert, mine is the same. Anxiety for walk him. My German Shepherd gets excited seeing her prong or e-collar. Now our Aussie is sensitive boy and isn't happy to see his prong. He would rather have belly rubs. If the dog is collar smart, does that mean you need to go back to intermittent phase or go back to more leash work? Both, Misty, but definitely back in the intermittent phase. Yeah, for sure. Keep the collar on to make it part of the dog's life. The advice you gave about the one good strong correction works. I'd rather one strong correction than 100 small Absolutely, Corey. I had a dog that lifted his leg to pee in my building. I gave one hard correction and never tried to pee in the. Yeah, it will stop most things very quick. Oh, you have a fancy ice ball in your drink. I do, Misty, but it's gone now. Thanks so much, Larry. I'll be back with feedback. You got it, Wayne. Anytime, buddy. Phil, I get worried about doing a high well-timed correction that's too low. If I do a 50, what if the dog doesn't feel a 50 when in? Let's say pursuit of something, Phil, highest level correction possible. Highest level, that's something we're going to start. That's a life and death situation, and that's the highest level correction possible. But I can't stress enough. It's important that the dog has a strong foundation first and understands it. Okay? Pete in Tucson, sorry. Would a leave it command work? No. I think that might be all the questions. Do you stim first, then command? No. Well, yeah, yes. There's more to it than that, Coral. You got to understand the whole process. Any tips on working with a newfound dog reactivity after a dog attack? My dog was attacked by an off-leash dog and required stitches. Now he is somewhat reactive to dogs rushing him while he's on leash. He is e-collar condition. Yeah, here's the thing, Hannah. I get that a lot. A lot of the dogs that come here, I had one dog attacked 4 times, was never dog aggressive, German Shepherd, attacked 4 times, out running with his owner. Now he just wants to kill every dog. What I do with that, it's almost always the same. I do the normal training we always do. Nothing changes. I lay a very strong foundation on the dog. Very, very strong. Then when the dog has a strong foundation, now I'm going to the dog park. Not in the dog park, outside the dog park, at a good distance. And we continue working in that intermittent phase with those real distractions and dogs around. And we start adding a little less distance as the dog can handle it. They all come out of that, okay? Baby steps, but it's got to be done right. Got to be done right. What's the youngest age to start e-collar? We answered that. At least 6 or 7 months, I like. Okay, I'm screwing up and using the vibration button. Here's the thing. I gotta ask you guys that are using the vibration button. Why are you guys doing it? With all the information out there, is it because you're following someone or just you think it's the right thing to do? I'd be curious, and I'm serious. Hey, Hannah. Hustle here. I love that dog, Hannah. He's honestly not just one of my all-time favorite dogs. My whole family adores that dog. Like he is just, you've done such a good job, Hannah. You really have. You're like one of the greatest dog owners of all time. He's I tell people there's never a dog that comes to a board and train here that is sad being here or like misses their owners or wish that, like, they do really well here. They love it here. Because I'm going to make sure they do. Hustle loved it too. especially when we were working. He did love it, but I could, and I told you this, Hannah, I could honestly say because of the life, the active life you give him, there was no doubt in my mind that when we weren't working or training out or training or playing, he he was definitely missing you. There's no doubt about it, and that's the God's honest truth. I could see it in him. And these shepherds are so expressive. He wanted to be with mama. He loved me and he loved to work, but he wants to be with mama. Do you think the e-collar training is necessary? I feel like I'm too stupid to know how to use it. You're funny, Carlos. I've had an e-collar for almost 2 years, but haven't touched it. I don't think I'm ready for that stuff. Hey, Carlos, no. Hey, listen, I think that's a really admirable quality of someone to come out and say that. I never want any. Listen, when people come to me, Carlos, e-collar training isn't mandatory. It's not mandatory. I don't push it on anyone. People just want to do it. But if someone came to me to do it and I saw they were uncomfortable with it, we're not doing it. I'm never going to have someone do something they're not comfortable with. Is it necessary? Only if you plan on having your dog off leash in public. Then I would say it's necessary. You don't have to have your dog off leash. Keep your dog on leash if you're outside your home. That's all. Absolutely not, Carlos. And good for you for thinking of it that way, buddy. Good for you, brother. Joe, no question. Just wanted to tell you I had minadito for lunch. You son of a bitch, Joe. I miss it all. Hey, Joe, I don't know if you saw my posts on Facebook, but when I came home yesterday, I landed in Nashville. I was already missing my Mexican food, bro. I was already craving it, like I was dying. And I had to stop and get gas before I drove home. I have an hour drive home. And I swear to you, I posted the picture. I go get gas, and what's sitting in the parking lot? A freaking taco truck, bro. So I got me 2 plates of carne asada tacos, and they were good. Oh, they were so good. It's like God really wanted me to be happy, He's like, Larry, you're a good guy. I want to give you tacos when you get gas. I was like, thank you, Lord Jesus. I'm so happy. Lisa, the e-collar saved one of my dogs when he ignored his recall to go play with a wolf. My husband corrected him, and 2 weeks later, they met a pack of 10 wolves, and he told him to leave it, and he stayed next to him. He isn't scared of the e-collar. Lisa, that's a phenomenal statement. That really is. That is so accurate and so true, and showing the capabilities and the benefits of the tool. It really is. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. David and Kay, love you guys, man. Can't wait to see you again. We have so much fun. Like David, we have a good time messing with your wife. She's a blast. We're going to do some group classes here too soon, guys. Chrissy, what we allow is what we create in dog training and life itself on all levels. 100%, Chrissy. Amen, sister. Mary, been through 2 of these type of trainers that just about ruin my dogs. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mary. It sucks. There's a lot of them out there. Love when you're on your soapbox. Sorry, Misty, but thank you. I hate it, but Misty, maybe a lot of people don't understand, but let me show you something. Let me show you guys something. Okay, so when you guys get mad if I don't return your emails or something, this is one email. Let me see if you can see that. Can you guys see that? I'm trying to. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the email there in the corner? Opposite end. Let me see. That's 30,661 emails on one of my emails, and I have more on the other one. All dog related. The ones that I get to read, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff I get sent to me. Videos, messages. It's disturbing. It's really disturbing. And the truth is, there's a lot of shitbags out there training dogs. A lot of shitbags. I got no tolerance for someone who harms an animal, especially a dog. How do you treat the world's greatest creature, an animal that wakes up every day just thinking it's going to be the best day in the world and happy to be in your presence? How do you abuse an animal like that? I got nothing. Owning and living with dogs is a lifestyle. Good evening. Absolutely. But hey, how are you doing, Byron? How are you, buddy? Man, I hope I see you in San Diego next year, brother. We need to get out for a good steak dinner again. Kathy, thank you for all you do. Appreciate you, Kathy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hell no, I quit following a trainer when he told me to shock him high when he was chewing in the car. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's it, guys. I make it very simple when asked about collars. See, Larry, right? That is part of the problem. People don't know what good work. Yeah, you're right, Nick. Absolutely, 100%. Here's the thing, guys. When you deal with an average dog owner, if you just know a little tiny bit more than they do, they think you're God. Like they'll go tell their friends, "Oh my God, I found this guy or this girl," and they are you wouldn't believe it. They're unbelievable. They just don't get it. They just don't get it. Let's see. Based off our conversation, it's safe to say my dog goes into down slow or into a sit before a down. I can use proper e-collar training to make the down more sharp. It's not necessary, Frank. That's for competition stuff. Who cares if your pet dog goes into a down slow or a sit? It's not important. No, e-collar not good for you there, buddy. Not necessary. Bill, can't wait to see you, buddy. I will be retired, homeboy. That's it. I'm done here. I'm finished. And I got a puppy coming, guys. I got a beautiful puppy from my buddy Terry McCormick, who breeds some of the best German Shepherds you will ever find. I can't wait. You know, I need training here in Colorado. Please come. Hey, Melissa, I love Colorado. It wouldn't be hard to get me there. I love it. You know. All right. I think that's about it, guys. I think that's all the questions. I think I actually answered everyone. I need a t-shirt, sir. Graham, I'll get you one, Graham. That's it, guys. That's 2 hours. I thought we'd have even more questions, so I answered every single question. I appreciate you guys very much. I really do. I know I did a little bit of ranting there in the beginning, and this is long, so I appreciate all the people that are still watching. It's really important to me, guys. I absolutely love this animal. I love it. I love this animal. It means the world to me, and it's been good to me. And when you see what these animals give us, what they provide us, the emotion and the hearts behind them, we have to do better. And I think as professional dog trainers, we're not doing enough for the general public. We're just not. They're failing because we're failing. We're not educating enough. Think about anything that any dog trainer puts out, myself included, anybody. Is the stuff that we're showing or putting out, is it actually helping anyone? You have to look at it that way. Is it actually helping anyone? Because most of the stuff that's put out there, although a lot of it is a tremendous quality, a lot of good people putting stuff out there, but is it actually doing anything for the everyday dog owner? And the answer is usually no. We have to get back to allowing people to understand what the dog actually needs and how to do it. And most people, even the ones that do hire a trainer, they never get to understand that. They never get to learn that. And that's, I think, where the whole industry is failing. I really do. I see it. I see it every day, I see it every day. And I think we can do a lot better. And this tool, when used properly, it's an equalizer. It levels the playing field for the average dog owner that otherwise would not be able to ever get to the level they can without it. It's the truth. I've seen it over and over and over. I've met incredible, incredible people. Every workshop, every seminar, I see people showing up there, the things they're telling me. I met incredible people this weekend, myself and Joel in Tucson. Amazing people, And the thing that sucked about it, when I got there, I was like, these are the best behaved dogs I've ever seen at a seminar. I don't want that. I want there to be a lot of really bad dogs so we could do a lot of cool work. These people did a great job. These dogs were really well behaved. So there are people out there that are doing better and learning, and pushing it. And so all we could do is keep educating. I don't know everything, but I do know more than the average person. So it's my obligation to educate them. That's it. That simple. You know what I'm saying? So we're at exactly 2 hours, guys. I said a lot of words. I could talk a lot. You know, I didn't even drink that much because I really wanted to get through all these questions. I appreciate all you guys taking the time to tune in and send the questions. And so let's just keep trying to do better. Okay, guys? And if there's something that I can address or talk about or these lives that you want to hear, just let me know and we'll try to make it happen. Okay? I'm going to go eat some corn. Sophia, are you eating more cornbread? That girl can. Jeez, Louise. Sophia loves her cornbread. I made from scratch big tray of cornbread tonight, and she's tearing it up. Love you, baby. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the constant support for all these years. I don't take it lightly, and neither does my family. All right, guys. Peace.